Hey everyone! Today we're exploring another chilling and disturbing case. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay engaged. It really means a lot. I truly appreciate it. Now, take a deep breath and let's dive in. He kissed his daughter goodnight, poured himself a glass of wine, and stepped into his private office. Underneath the floorboards, $2.6 million in cash and a Glock 17 were waiting. But by morning, Sergio Molina, the man known as El Fantasma, had vanished. No footprints, no struggle, just a hot cup of coffee and a trail of blood leading to the pool. What happened to the kingpin who ruled Miami's drug trade from the shadows? And why did he disappear just when the feds closed it? To most of Miami, Sergio Andres Molina was a devoted father, successful entrepreneur, and humble immigrant success story. He owned luxury car dealerships, hosted charity galas, and was once even honored by a local church for his devotion to family and faith. But to the DEA, Sergio was the invisible mastermind behind a brutal cocaine empire stretching from Colombia to the Florida Keys. They called him El Fantasma, the ghost, because no one had ever seen him commit a crime. No fingerprints, no recordings, just bodies, cocaine, and fear. His story begins not with crime, but with family betrayal. His brother Eduardo ran a legitimate import business until he accidentally overdosed on fentanyl at a company retreat. The death was ruled accidental. But within a year, Sergio took over the company, and it began importing more than just fruit. Between 2012 and 2020, Sergio's empire trafficked hundreds of millions of dollars in high-purity cocaine using refrigerated shipping containers disguised as organic Chilean wine. The front was airtight, real vineyards, real workers, real trade routes. But the violence behind the curtain was staggering. A journalist investigating Sergio's shipping practices was found beheaded in a dumpster. A rival distributor was shot execution style and left on the steps of a Catholic school. A whistleblowing port inspector was kidnapped and later found burned alive in a vineyard cellar. And yet Sergio was never charged, not once. Why? Because every time someone got close, they either died or disappeared. The DEA formed a secret task force codenamed Project Revenant, dedicated to catching El Fantasma. For years, they tried wiretaps, drones, and informants, only to find empty warehouses and scrubbed cell phones. They grew desperate. Then they made a chilling discovery. Sergio had a daughter, Camila Molina, 12 years old. She lived in plain sight, attended private school, and was seen regularly with her father. She was his only weakness. On her 13th birthday, agents planted a wire inside a teddy bear gifted to her by an undercover informant. Days later, Sergio's voice was captured planning a massive shipment. Dates, ports, names. Enough for an arrest warrant. They moved fast. On April 14, 2020, at 3:14 a.m., DEA agents stormed a $7 million mansion in Coral Gables. But what they found stunned them. Sergio was gone. The back door was open. The pool was warm. A cup of coffee sat on the counter, still steaming. No signs of struggle. No alarms triggered. No trace. He had vanished. 2 days after the failed raid, agents discovered that Sergio had emptied none of his accounts, hadn't used his private jet, and hadn't crossed any border legally. His vineyard in Chile hadn't received calls. His lieutenants hadn't heard from him. It was as if he'd evaporated. Then, something more terrifying happened. Camila, his daughter, also disappeared, vanished from her school in broad daylight. The school received a call from a woman claiming to be her aunt, but no one in Sergio's known circle matched the name. 2 days later, Camila's mother, long estranged from Sergio and living under witness protection, received an envelope in her mailbox. Inside it, a Polaroid photo of Camila smiling in a snowy cabin. A note with 4 words, handwritten in red ink. She is safe for now. The DEA scrambled to locate the source. The postmark was fake. The ink used was traced back to a now-defunct military supplier in Argentina. Suddenly, agents began exploring the unthinkable. Sergio may not have just vanished. He may have had help from someone inside law enforcement. Then a mid-level cartel soldier flipped in a plea deal, revealing that Sergio had allegedly been paying off a federal agent, someone in the very task force assigned to bring him down. The agent in question, missing, disappeared the same night as Sergio. 6 months after Sergio's escape, a retired priest from a monastery in Peru contacted the U.S. Embassy. He claimed a man had been staying in their secluded compound, off the grid, heavily guarded and always watching the door. The man called himself Father Miguel. But when agents arrived at the monastery, they found the priest dead, his body mutilated, and a word carved into his chest. Traición, Spanish for betrayal. Next to him was a burned passport. Only one letter remained legible. S. Could Sergio have faked his death again? Or had the cartel finally caught up to its own ghost? Special Agent Daniel Rivas had been with the DEA for over a decade. He was well-liked, respected, and, according to internal records, the lead case officer on Project Revenant, the task force hunting El Fantasma. But when the task force went dark after the failed raid on Sergio's mansion, strange things started surfacing. Evidence misplaced, surveillance drives erased, leads that went nowhere, and then Rivas simply stopped showing up. No resignation, no call, just gone. 3 weeks later, his body was found floating in the Miami River, hands bound, throat slashed, and 2.45 caliber bullets in his skull. Taped to his chest was a flash drive. Written on it, confession. The flash drive changed everything. On it were encrypted audio files, confessions whispered in Spanish, in what appeared to be a chapel confessional. The voice, Sergio Molina. The topics, corruption, cartel secrets, bribes, murders, and one startling revelation. Rivas owed me. He was there when Eduardo died. He helped cover it up. The cover-up dated back years. Rivas had reportedly worked a case involving Sergio's brother, Eduardo Molina, just weeks before Eduardo's overdose. Internal records showed Rivas had dismissed the case due to lack of evidence. But what Sergio's confession revealed was that Eduardo didn't overdose. He was poisoned by his own brother, Sergio. And Rivas had been paid handsomely to make sure no one ever found out. With the flash drive leaked to journalists, the DEA was forced to go public. What they didn't reveal was that one file was still being decrypted, a file containing GPS metadata embedded in one of Sergio's final voice memos. It pointed to a remote ranch in southern Chile, a region known for its ex-military safe houses and cartel-friendly corruption. A joint U.S.-Chilean task force moved in, fast and silent. They found the ranch abandoned. No people, no weapons. But inside one of the bedrooms, they found a child's notebook, drawings of snow-covered trees, a man with a beard, and a little girl holding his hand. Written on the back page in English, "My name is Camila. I miss my mom. I want to go home." The date on the page? Just 3 weeks old. Camila was still alive, and Sergio, by all indications, was still with her, moving her from safe house to safe house, hidden from both the authorities and the enemies he had double-crossed. But the mystery deepened when the team discovered another strange clue inside the ranch. A crucifix made of white gold. Inside it was a microchip, encoded with encrypted offshore banking credentials linked to a hidden Vatican bank account used historically for laundering cartel funds through religious institutions. Sergio had been working through the church, not just as a cover, but possibly as a partner. Was this spiritual refuge? Or just another smokescreen? Back in the U.S., Camila's mother was placed under 24-hour protection. According to her, Sergio had once promised, "If I ever disappear, it won't be death. It'll be redemption, and she'll come with me." But redemption for what? Sergio had confessed to orchestrating his brother's murder, building an empire of violence, and silencing anyone who crossed him. And now, every lead pointed to a man desperately trying to rewrite the narrative. A father on the run not just from the law, but from his past. One final twist came when another priest, this one living in exile in Argentina, sent an anonymous message to a journalist. It read, "He is planning his last miracle, a resurrection, not for himself, but for the girl." 2 months later, in the outskirts of a small Peruvian village, a fire broke out in a hillside home. Inside, authorities found 3 charred bodies. One was identified as a smuggler tied to Sergio's network. The second was a woman posing as a nun. The third, a teenage girl. DNA tests confirmed something shocking. It wasn't Camila, but the girl was wearing Camila's bracelet, the one she was last seen wearing in the notebook drawing. So the question remains, was Sergio faking her death now too? And if so, why? The girl in the fire had no identity, no dental records, no fingerprints on file, nothing. But what authorities did find was something chilling. A tracker embedded in her shoe, one used by certain South American cartels to monitor trafficked children. This wasn't Camila. This was someone else, a substitute. And that raised a terrifying possibility. Was Sergio not protecting Camila anymore, but replacing her? As the investigation deepened, forensic analysts uncovered fragments of a burned laptop near the body. The hard drive was mostly destroyed, except for a single salvageable folder. Inside, photos of at least 8 different girls. Flight records from Paraguay, Bolivia, and Mexico. A document titled La Foundation. La Foundation, the foundation, was believed to be a secret initiative run by Sergio himself, posing as a Catholic charity. It claimed to rescue at-risk children from drug-infested neighborhoods, but the truth was darker. La Foundation had no registered nonprofit status, no government oversight, and no records of the church. It was a pipeline, a human trafficking network hiding behind Sergio's last disguise, redemption. The FBI, Interpol, and Peruvian intelligence launched a joint task force. At the center of it, Sergio's final miracle. If he wasn't building a second life for Camila, what was he doing? Investigators followed a tip from an ex-cartel pilot arrested in Colombia, who claimed that Sergio was preparing a full identity transformation. Not for himself, but for a girl matching Camila's age and description. He called it the reset. The pilot said Sergio had one final destination in mind, Patagonia, not just to disappear, but to erase her entirely and build her a new life as the daughter of a retired diplomat who owed him a favor dating back to the 1990s. But before they could follow the lead, that pilot was found dead in his cell, throat slit, no weapon, no camera footage, just a message written in blood on the wall. Fantasmas no hablan. Ghosts don't talk. A chilling theory began to form. Sergio was building a new Camila, a carefully engineered identity swap. The real Camila may already be living under a different name, in a different country, with new documents, new guardians, and a past scrubbed clean. One that couldn't tie her to the drug empire her father built, or the bodies he left behind. But that plan came with a price. Because the girl in the fire, she had been killed to seal the illusion. She had been dressed, marked, and burned so the world would stop looking. And yet, one person hadn't stopped. Camila's mother. Desperate and furious, Camila's mother broke her silence and went public in a televised interview. He stole her from me once. He won't do it again. If you're watching this, Sergio, bring my daughter home. The next morning, her apartment security camera picked up movement at 2:43 a.m. A man in a hoodie left a small box at her doorstep. Inside, Camila's missing journal, a USB drive, and a note. She is safe, but not yet free. The USB drive contained surveillance footage from inside what appeared to be a safe house, possibly in Argentina or Chile. In it, Camila was seen brushing her hair, sketching in a notebook, and feeding a cat. But it was her eyes that drew attention. She looked straight at the hidden camera. She blinked 3 times, slowly, almost like a signal. An FBI behavioral analyst reviewed the footage and noticed something unusual. Every few hours, Camila moved to the same corner of the room and tapped the wall. Rhythmically, 5 taps, a pause, then 3, then 2. The analyst ran the pattern through an old CIA system designed to detect coded distress signals. The message? Not him. Help me. So if it wasn't Sergio keeping her there, who was? For months, the world believed Camila Molina had vanished with her father, Sergio, a.k.a. Fantasma, the cocaine kingpin turned ghost. But the recent surveillance footage suggested otherwise. Camila was alive. She wasn't hiding. She was trapped. And she was trying to tell the world, without saying a word, The girl, once shielded by a father feared across continents, was now completely alone. The USB footage was analyzed frame by frame by the FBI's Behavioral Threat Assessment Unit. Camila's drawings, dozens of them, reveal far more than anyone realized. What first looked like sketches of trees and mountains were actually maps, satellite-aligned outlines of terrain, a river bend, a ridgeline, a utility tower, and in one disturbing drawing, a figure standing in a window holding binoculars, written next to it in tiny handwriting, "He doesn't sleep." In another drawing, a phrase repeated over and over in the margins, "He is not my father. He lies." Whoever was holding Camila, it wasn't Sergio. Interpol traced the notebook sketches and terrain references to a military-controlled zone deep in southern Argentina, an old Cold War intelligence outpost decommissioned in 2002. It had since been privatized and sold to a wealthy Chilean businessman named Marcos Varela, a known arms dealer with indirect ties to Sergio's old cartel network. He owned over 130,000 acres of unregulated land, and local authorities had no jurisdiction. He had been untouchable for years. But one detail changed everything. 10 years ago, Varela's only son died from a fentanyl overdose in Miami. And who supplied the fentanyl? Sergio Molina's cartel. What appeared to be a cartel alliance now looked like a revenge operation. Here's what investigators now believe. After Sergio fled, he attempted to secure Camila's future through a secret identity transfer, but someone intercepted her, likely with inside help, and that someone had a motive deeper than money. Varela wanted Sergio to suffer, not just by dismantling his empire, but by taking the only person he ever truly cared about. And now, Varela had Camila locked inside his remote compound, using her as a living chess piece, waiting for the moment Sergio would resurface. But Sergio hadn't taken the bait. Not yet. That's when the letters started. 3 letters, each addressed to Camila's mother, each delivered anonymously, postmarked from different South American cities, each containing a riddle, lines of poetry written in old Spanish dialects, describing fire, betrayal, blood, and redemption, and one sentence repeated in every letter: "The ghost cannot return unless she is forgotten." One agent proposed a grim theory. Varela wasn't just holding Camila, he was brainwashing her, slowly severing her from her identity, replacing memories, isolating her so deeply that by the time Sergio tried to find her again, she wouldn't even remember him. But then came the break no one expected. A defector, a low-level enforcer from Varela's camp, crossed the Chilean border and turned himself in. What he said changed everything. He's building a place in the forest. A replica. Same house, same bed, same photos, same everything. When asked why, he replied, "So when Sergio comes, he'll walk into his own life. Only this time, it belongs to someone else." 2 days later, satellite drones confirmed it. A hidden compound, buried deep in Patagonia. Camouflage, electrified perimeter, armed guards, one entrance, no exit. Inside it, thermal imaging showed 2 bodies. One tall, male, one smaller, possibly a teenager. But before the drone could send full-resolution imagery, the signal cut out, and a message was received on the DEA secure line. No origin, no signature. You want her back? Then bring him. This time, the victim wasn't a child. It wasn't even Sergio. It was everyone who ever crossed him. Because the man once known as El Fantasma had returned. Not as the smooth, wine-sipping businessman of Miami, but as Sebastian Cruz, the name he used during his bloodiest years in Colombia. A man who didn't lead. He hunted. And now, he wasn't running anymore. He was assembling an army. Sources confirmed it. Sebastian Cruz, Sergio's most violent alias, was back in use. Between April and June, 4 former cartel lieutenants, believed to be in hiding under new identities, were found murdered across South America. Each execution bore the same signature: plastic zip ties, one shot to the heart, one coin placed in the mouth. The message? The debt must be paid. These weren't revenge killings. They were recruitment messages. A bloody announcement to the underworld. Sergio was back. and he was calling in favors. Intelligence reports confirmed that Sergio had landed in La Paz, Bolivia, under the crew's identity. Within 2 weeks, at least 6 former military contractors, some with ties to private security firms, vanished off-grid. Interpol tracked encrypted transactions linking Sergio to payments made in untraceable crypto wallets tied to former war zones. He wasn't hiring drug runners anymore. He was recruiting killers. And the target? Marcos Varela. But Sergio wasn't planning a hit. He was planning an invasion. Through a captured informant tied to Varela's inner circle, investigators learned the shocking truth. Varela never planned to kill Camila. He planned to raise her, to rewrite her identity entirely, to erase Sergio not through murder, but through memory. He had even changed her name in a video leaked to the DEA by a local resistance group. Camila is heard answering to Luciana. Her eyes are glassy, her tone robotic, and the man beside her, a priest, not a real one, a psychological handler. This was no longer just kidnapping. It was coercive control. A child turned into a tool of vengeance. As the clock ticks, a global standoff looms. The DEA wants Sergio taken alive. Interpol wants him dead before he sparks a bloody war. And Varela? He wants Sergio broken, watching as the daughter he tried to save becomes a daughter who forgets him. But Sergio's next move stunned even his closest allies. He sent one video directly to Varela. No words, just a photograph. A black and white image of Sergio holding Camila on her 5th birthday. On the back, written in ash, "You took her from me. Now I'll take everything from you." 2 days ago, a private plane illegally entered Chilean airspace, landing just 5 kilometers from Varela's mountain compound. No flight plan, no passengers logged, but satellite footage captured the silhouette of one man exiting into the jungle, carrying nothing but a duffel bag and a rifle. Authorities scrambled to intercept, but the jungle is dense, and the compound already on high alert. All exits sealed. Inside, guards are stationed at every door. Camila, or Luciana, is kept under 24/7 watch. And yet, the final drone image captured something chilling. A single coin left on the steps, same as the others. Except this one, it was covered in blood. This time, the victim was Camila, or as she now called herself, Luciana. The girl who once loved sketching trees and hiding in her father's lap now greeted him with suspicion. Her voice was cold. Her hands shook. She backed away from him like he was an intruder, because to her, this wasn't a reunion. It was a reckoning. The real question wasn't whether Sergio could get her out. It was whether she even wanted to go. In the days before the breach, Sergio's mercenaries quietly disabled Varela's perimeter alarms using thermal camouflage and handheld jammers. They moved at night, silently, one by one. The compound's guards were subdued, some killed, some vanished into jungle, never to be seen again. But inside the house, a different kind of violence had already taken place. Psychological, months of programming, daily recordings, scripts, medicated tea, a whiteboard with her name, Luciana, repeated in red marker again and again and again, and above her bed, a framed photo of Varela, standing with her on the day she arrived, smiling, as if she were his. The DEA and Interpol watched from afar, tracking comms, heat signatures, and satellite footage. They could see movement, bodies being dragged, smoke rising, but they couldn't intervene, because the moment Sergio entered the house, all signals went dark. He was inside, alone, and then came the moment they feared. Camila appeared at the window, disoriented, crying, looking down at something or someone, and then she screamed. Inside the replica house, Sergio didn't find a trap. He found a performance. Photos of their life together, altered, his image replaced, letters rewritten, birthday cards re-signed with Varela's name. Camila had been convinced that Sergio abandoned her, that he sold her, that Varela was the one who rescued her from the world her monster father built. But Sergio had one last card to play. A flash drive hidden in the heel of his boot. On it, footage of their real home, recordings of bedtime stories, Video of Camila drawing in the corner of Sergio's office, and a clip from her 13th birthday, the last day they were together before she was taken. He played it, she watched, and then she ran. Screaming echoed through the compound. Not Camila, Varela. He burst into the hallway with a shotgun, face twisted in rage. The footage cuts out here, but what we know is this. Shots were fired. Multiple bodies were found, but neither Sergio nor Varela were among them. One of the last guards alive claimed he saw a man with a bleeding shoulder dragging a young girl through the southern corridor and into the trees. An unmarked SUV was later found burning 5 miles away. No license plates. Inside it, a teddy bear, a flash drive, and one final note. She remembers. 3 weeks later, a tourist hiking in the Patagonian wilderness reported seeing a man and a teenage girl boarding a small fishing boat near a remote dock. She said the girl looked confused, but calm. When shown a photo of Camila Molina, the tourist nodded. But when shown a photo of Sergio, she shook her head. No, she said, that wasn't him. That man was older, scarred, bald, walked with a limp. He introduced himself as Father Miguel. The victim in this final act isn't one person. It's not Camila, not even Sergio. It's the truth. Because what happened in that compound, what Sergio said Camila, how she remembered, how they escaped, what he sacrificed, we'll never fully know. What we're left with is fragments, stories, conflicting witness reports, and a trail that ends in silence. But perhaps that was always the plan. The compound was torched, all surveillance footage erased. Varela's body was never recovered. The few guards left alive refused to speak. Some claimed they'd never even seen Varela in person. One said, he only spoke through speakers. We never knew if he was really there. Others said Sergio didn't kill him. Camila did, but there's no proof. No body. No fingerprints. Only a name etched into a broken mirror in the basement. Luciana no more. Was it Camila's signature? Or a message? Either way, it marked the end of Varela's hold on her. Interpol followed every possible lead. Coastal ports, fishermen, boat rentals, border patrol. The girl and the man calling himself Father Miguel were spotted once more in a small fishing village in southern Chile. A grocer said the man paid an exact change and barely spoke. He let the girl pick out what she wanted: milk, chocolate, a sketch pad. They stayed one night in a rented room, left before sunrise. The room was spotless, except for one thing. Taped to the wall was a single sketch: a tree, a man, and a girl holding a cat, labeled simply, "Me and Papa." Back in Miami, Camila's mother received a final package. No return address. Inside, a disposable cell phone with one pre-recorded message, an envelope containing a passport, and $500,000 in cash. And a letter. You did what I couldn't. You protected her. She's free now. Please disappear like I never could. She pressed play on the phone. It was Sergio's voice. Calm, slow, no music, no background noise. She knows who she is. She knows what I've done. She chose to leave it behind. And now, so will I. They will never find us, because we are no longer ghosts. We are dust. To this day, no one knows for certain where Sergio Molina is. Some believe he's living in a monastery, disguised as a priest. Others think he faked his own death again, this time for good. And some whisper he never existed at all. That El Fantasma was never one man, but a system, a myth, a legend designed to terrify and disappear. Camila, if alive, would be 17 today. A new name, a new life. The world doesn't know her face anymore. And maybe that's how Sergio wanted it. Because while kings fall and empires crumble, ghosts, they vanish. The DEA has officially closed its file on Sergio Andres Molina. Cause of closure. Presumed deceased. Interpol's final report lists him as mastermind of over $1.2 billion in illicit trade, linked to 19 confirmed murders, suspect in 4 disappearances, 2 political assassinations, never convicted, never seen again. And yet, every year, around the anniversary of Camila's disappearance, a single white envelope is delivered to a mailbox in southern Florida. No note, no name, just a sketch of a tree and a girl. What are your thoughts on this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with more stories, where each case isn't just about crime, but also offers a lesson for life.